Welcome to Discover Marshalltown. Kyle Martin here, and my guest today is Mayor Joel Greer. Joel, welcome.
Thank you, Kyle.
Absolutely. It's good to have you on. It's been, first of all, before we talk a little bit about you and your background, let's talk about the trying time. Your first 9 months as mayor, a little unexpected. We're going through some interesting times right now in our community. Probably nothing you ever could have imagined when you ran for mayor.
I probably would not have run for mayor if I'd known we'd have a EF3 tornado.
Absolutely. I went to one of the press conferences after the tornado, and I loved it how you prefaced your introduction. Well, you actually were introduced, and then you came out and you said, Mayor for 9 months. You want to make sure that was stated, so we do know how long you have been mayor, and we have been thrown into some very interesting times right now, as I said, and as far as some of the stuff that because you are obviously privy to information and behind the scenes stuff that we know absolutely nothing about and probably won't, and you don't have to share some of that with us. But as far as some of the stuff that you have seen, maybe we should talk about the volunteers. And I know that's a soft spot for you. It's a soft spot for me too. And I don't want to start off with that right away, but I think we would be remiss if we didn't talk about the massive cleanup effort and all the people.
What was most interesting to me was hearing from people who had been through disasters before. So all of the people that come in with the Salvation Army, the Red Cross, just by happenstance, we had a guy from Connecticut who was in Iowa for a convention, and he'd been the #1 disaster guy in this state. And so he immediately came up to help, and he wrote a software program and stuff like that. He and many others were saying they've never seen so many volunteers. They've never seen the cleanup of the tree debris as fast as it went here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we never called for volunteers. They just came.
Yeah, they just showed up. It's miraculous.
And that Team Rubicon, I'd never heard of them before. Man, what an outfit. They're all veterans. There are 1.2 million of them. They come in 60 at a time. They're buff, they're hardworking, they love to help people, and that command center they had in the old the Heritage Center at the Y Building was just a sight to see. It was really impressive.
I was over at Lennox probably a couple days after. I had not seen Lennox, and they had a chain link fence up around some of the cleanup area, and a lady walked up to me, said, "Can I help you?" And I noticed right away she had a southern drawl, so I figured she wasn't from around here. And I asked her where she was from, and her cleanup crew came all the way from Dallas, Texas.
Really?
It's phenomenal, Joel, the people that are pitching in and helping out, and religious groups and churches and other organizations that are coming from not only Iowa, central Iowa, but are coming from other states.
It gave me a chance to meet the Iowa State football coach.
Yeah.
Because there were 50 football players over there cleaning up at Rogers School, which is on our route from office to home. And I got an opportunity to stop in and thank him for that. And man, those boys were working hard.
Right.
They were doing a lot of heavy lifting.
Yeah, they were. That had to be tough for you being an Iowa Hawkeye football fan.
My plates say Cyhawk because I'm a fan of both.
Okay.
And I wear blue when they play each other.
Okay.
I have to go neutral on that. So.
Very good. Yeah, they. We got representatives from the Cyclones. I know the Drake. I went to Drake, and there were basketball players here from Drake helping out. I know the MHS baseball state baseball team was out helping. Yep. Phenomenal athletes, helping out a really hard-hit community, and
exactly.
it obviously Ames is not very far. So, and I heard Matt Campbell in an interview say, "Hey, Marshalltown's just down the road."
Right.
Yeah. So it was nice to see him. You've been involved in a lot of press conferences. You've talked to media, local and national. Holy smokes, are you giving a lot of interviews? Probably also something you were not prepared for when you became mayor.
Oh, I haven't turned one down yet because the most important thing is to keep this in the national spotlight. It's too easy to go on to the next big disaster event, and already we've had a couple. You know, there was a boat accident down in Missouri. There are the California fires that are getting more media attention, and so the trick is to try to keep us in the public eye so that people don't forget us.
Yeah.
Because the real hurt is going to come in a month or 2 or 3 when people are told they are in unsafe houses that are uninhabitable and they can't hunker down in them anymore. And now what are they going to do?
Right. And that's coming. We know that. You know, we're going to start to get into the winter months here before you know it, and some of those homes, like you said, folks just can't live there. I saw them. I know you've seen them as well, and they're going to be displaced folks. Where are they going to go? You know, we hope to keep them here, but you know, one of the things that I noticed right away was the American Red Cross coming in and the Salvation Army. From what I understand from Mary Dooley, with the Red Cross, they basically divided the city and went street to street, door to door, asking if they can help. Also pretty phenomenal that they were able to get out and about. I know you've seen their participation as well.
Yep. I served on Mary Dooley's board years ago with the Red Cross, so I'm familiar with their work. And Bill Martin, who's our city councilor, he's had 3 decades of going to disasters and helping out around the country.
Yeah.
The Habitat for Humanity was another group. I did not know they had a disaster crew that would come in and help rebuild and repair and that sort of thing. They've been great too. Yeah.
I think we would be remiss if we didn't mention Pam Delagardelle with Unity Point and all that our hospital went through. And they ended up having to transport some patients to Waterloo and to Newton and to Grinnell and some other area hospitals before we could figure out, you know, if the hospital was structurally sound, or they moved them to the South Campus. That was quite an undertaking as well. And Unity Point hasn't been in our community that too terribly long. So that was good to see coordination on their part.
Yeah, it was. Well, Dustin Wright, who's our local top guy there, has just been a great asset to Marshalltown.
Yeah, phenomenal. Alliant Energy.
Oh. Have you seen the stats? How many people they actually employed?
I did not, but it was interesting. I came in the next morning after the tornado, Joel, and I think I told you this on the air, or I told you maybe in the hallway, that I saw 50 bucket trucks parked out at the mall, and they were ready to go. That was the next morning.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, you were going to say something about Alliant Energy.
I wish I had printed off the email that I got this morning that gave the stats of how many people. It was upwards of 500 people that were deployed to come here. And the speed with which they were able to lay cable, a lot of it was underground that I wasn't aware of, and a lot of it overground. I think it was 300 poles that they put in, and they were putting them in like every 30 seconds. It was just amazing.
Right.
And we went from having 10,000 of us without electricity, like here at our office or at our home, to 6,000, I think. 4,000 in a day.
Yeah.
And how a company can mobilize and have the people and the equipment on hand, and even the telephone poles available that fast, I don't know, but that was really impressive.
And speaking of restoring power in Alliant Energy, I know the governor signed, and I'm not a political person, Joel, so I'm not sure what she signed, but it was a disaster type proclamation to where they could actually restore power after certain hours. They could work past what they were normally allowed to work, right?
I think that's my understanding as well.
I don't understand exactly what that was, but they were working round the clock.
As we took a tour on Friday, the day after the tornado, she teared up twice looking at the devastation here.
Yeah.
She really cares.
Yeah.
And I know she's been up here 3 times in the last 3 weeks. So.
Yeah.
And today I spent some time with our top person in economic development in the Des Moines office, who happened to be from Marshalltown. So it's kind of a nice assignment to have him help us.
Yeah, and you've visited with, you know, not only our governor, you got a chance to meet the president, but you had to go to him in Dubuque. Now, one of the questions I had, and I kind of was joking about this on my radio show because he's got Air Force One and you have Joel Greer One, your own airplane. Did you guys meet on your airplane or his airplane or the tarmac or what? What did you do? Did you drive or fly?
Drove. Actually, we sold the airplane.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
So there is no Joel Greer One?
Right. Yeah. Nope, I have to rent now. And no club will let me in.
Oh, that's so funny.
So, no, we drove over. Actually, I had our assistant fire chief. He was my Uber that day.
Okay. Chris Cross?
Yeah, Chris Cross. Had a delightful time getting to know him.
Yeah.
On the way over and the way back. And he was the one, I was asked to get a first responder there.
Okay.
And so he was the one that came to mind first. And I know he enjoyed the opportunity to meet the president.
It's really neat. And we've had Senator Joni Ernst. She was actually on the ground the day, touring around the day of the governor coming. And then I know, was it a couple Fridays ago that Senator Harkin was walking down the street. We had him on the radio on Man on the Street. He literally was walking down the street looking at Main Street damage, and we were able to just, hey, you want to be on the radio? So that was also, we're getting some heavy hitters that are taking notice.
Grassley was here, and then on the.
I'm sorry, Grassley.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yep. And the same day that Joni Ernst was here, Rod Blum was here as well.
Okay.
And he was the second person to get off the Air Force One, so he got a ride with the president. And the receiving line went to our governor, lieutenant governor, Rod Blum's wife, who's from that area over in the Dubuque area, and then the Pella mayor. I'm next, the Bondurant mayor, and then Chris Cross.
Wow.
And that was a quick receiving line.
Neat.
Yeah.
Well, good. So he, obviously the president, well aware of what happened here.
We're still hoping to get some support on the FEMA application.
Now, I don't know a lot about FEMA, but is this a really tangled process to get federal money here?
I spent an hour, in the last 24 hours, I've had an hour-long conference call with the mayor of Tupelo, Mississippi, that had an even worse tornado go through it. He's also a trial lawyer and a pilot, so we had a lot of notes to compare. I've been in contact with the people in Cedar Rapids that went through the FEMA experience with the flooding, Parkersburg folks that had their tornado up there, and I can tell you that nobody knows how the FEMA thing works, and it apparently changes over time.
Oh.
So we're still trying to collect data as fast as we can to support an application that might get granted.
Yeah, and hopefully some of those FEMA dollars can start trickling in before it gets cold.
Exactly.
Yeah, because we are going to have some displaced folks. There's no doubt about that.
I was with Grassley when he was interviewed at your station.
Oh, were you?
And
okay.
He said we just are now getting the money 10 years later for some of the remediation, but there's an explanation for that, and that was it took the Army Corps of Engineers a long time to decide where the water was going to be routed and who got to shore up and who didn't. So we don't have the Army Corps of Engineers to deal with in this disaster.
Some red tape.
But it will take a long time.
We're going to take a break. We're visiting with Mayor Joel Greer on Discover Marshalltown. We'll be back with more right after this.
Wait. Put your seatbelt on. Oh. Buckle up. Arrive alive.
Welcome back to Discover Marshalltown. We are in the law offices with Joel Greer, our mayor, and we've gone through a trying time here. And we'll end on some more tornado stuff. And progress, and we'll end on a positive note, Joel. But I wanted to find out a little bit about you. First of all, for people who don't know, and this is not in any way, shape, or form to try to get you reelected. I like you, and this is not a campaign speech, but I definitely want to find out a little bit about your background. So you grew up in the Spencer area, the Iowa Great Lakes area.
I did.
Yeah.
Okoboji in the summertime and Spencer in the winter.
Yeah, and you went to the University of Iowa undergrad or just for law school?
Both.
Okay.
I was accepted to go to Stanford and turned it down. And
What?
Tried to get my dad to give me the difference between what that tuition was and what in-state Iowa tuition was, and he never did.
Wow, Stanford! Holy smokes! And you have talked a little bit, kind of, and I don't know if you were joking when you mentioned this to me, or I heard you talking, but you were quite an athlete. You, from what I understand, you participated in athletics.
My claim to fame was that I was the shortest guy in the Lakes Conference playing basketball.
Yeah.
At 5'7".
At 5'7".
Yeah.
That. But you were tough, tenacious, I think they called you.
And I never dunked, but for a little guy, my hands are kind of big, so
Yeah.
I could palm it.
Really?
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about when you got out of law school, because we all have to start somewhere, and usually it's not our first job. It's not the job we end up in, or where we are now. Where did you practice law right out of school?
2 years at Greer and Sydney in Des Moines.
Okay.
To delay going home as a single person up to Northwest Iowa for the cold winters up
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
And that worked well because I got to meet Sharon while she was in law school in Iowa City.
Okay.
And I was practicing in Des Moines. At the end of the 2 years, I kept my promise to Dad that I would move back up to Spencer and practice up there. So
Yeah.
from 80 to 86, I was up there, and Sharon got a job offer here in Marshalltown to work at the Peglow firm in 82. And I had to convince her to forget about that, marry me, and move up to Spencer. So she did in 82. And in 86, when Kate was about 18 months old, Sharon convinced me that with her parents, 2 sets of grandparents, and 4 sisters, all within 20 minutes of here, we would have more extended family here if we moved here. So that's where we came into town. It was 1986.
And what kind of law do you practice, Joel?
Mediocre. Sorry, I can't help myself.
Mediocre.
Yeah, we're both trial lawyers, and so if you're insured by a company like Grinnell Mutual or State Farm or American Family
Okay.
or Integrity, and you run into somebody or somebody falls on your sidewalk, we're the
You're-
lawyers that get
you're
hired
the
to
ones.
defend you. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Very interesting.
we do a lot of write wills and things like that too.
Okay.
But about 90% of our time is insurance defense litigation.
Okay. All right. And what made you want to run for mayor? This sounds like a campaign commercial, doesn't it? After practicing law for so long, what made you step up or throw your hat in the political arena?
You don't have to declare what party you are to be mayor or to run for the city council. So it really isn't all that political
Really?
job. Yeah,
I did not know that.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm not running again.
Okay.
I know who my replacement is going to be.
You've already decided.
And he was the one that when I called 4 people and asked them to do it, he's the one that said not yet. And so I think in 3.5 years,
We'll know.
you'll like the
Okay.
new mayor way better than
But Joel,
what people
we
would think
like
of me.
you.
Yeah, well, but it's been an interesting
Yeah.
8 months.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt about it. Okay. And were you surprised when you became mayor? When I interviewed Jim Lawrence, he would joke about this. He said, I was shocked, and I don't think he really meant it. I was shocked when I became mayor that I really had no power.
Well, I have regretted the fact that we don't allow the mayor to vote.
Right.
In some cities our size, they do.
Yeah.
And there have been some tie votes and close votes where I really wish I'd had
Really?
a chance to vote.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But
And so there is something to that.
when mayors have to run the city council meetings, and there's the certain parliamentary procedure and the rules and all of that. Did that take you a while to get used to the whole rigmarole? Obviously, as a lawyer, you are used to a certain kind of itinerary, the way things are run.
My problem is I still want to say all those in favor say aye.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot faster, and that's what every other corporation that I've been involved in does. But nope, you have to do the roll call each time. About once a meeting, I screw that one up.
All right. Visiting with Marshalltown Mayor Joel Greer. He has only been in office here for like 9 months. So we are going to circle back now, talk a little bit more about the tornado. And we were talking during the break, you and I, about some of the businesses that were actually affected by the tornado, but amazing that they were handing out food free of charge.
Exactly.
Unbelievable. I mean, Maria's Tacos,
Smoking G's.
Smoking G's, Hy-Vee obviously was pitching in there. JBS did a huge grill out at the Y.
They did.
For all of the volunteers.
Yeah.
That was unbelievable. I mean, obviously that business, the whole cooling and refrigerating unit on one side of their building was not working.
Right.
Affected. I mean, unbelievable folks that were hurt. Their businesses were affected, and they still wanted to help out.
Exactly.
Unbelievable, Joel. I know that one of the things that you wanted to address was the future of our community and a bright road ahead. I mean, it's going to be a while, but we're going to see some light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, the mayors that I've talked to in the towns that have experienced this kind of thing, and that includes the Tupelo, Mississippi, Parkersburg, Cedar Rapids people, all assure me that you'll end up with a nicer looking town, the downtown, the residential areas. We won't have the 50-year trees for a while, but the rebuilding will make it look better, be better. And then, as I shared with the off-camera, I grew up in Spencer where they had the Spencer Fire, and that wiped out 2.5, 3 blocks of downtown. And so when they rebuilt it, it was prettier and considered to be one of the nicest county seat towns up in northwest Iowa.
Yeah.
So I do expect that to happen here in Marshalltown, especially with the kind of collaboration and industry and the entrepreneurs that we have here.
Yeah. Were you? We talked about the volunteer spirit, but also the giving spirit. Surprised at all from the monetary donations? We are talking large donations from some key businesses.
Yeah, $500,000 from one, 250,000 from another, 100,000. The Thai Foundation just announced that putting up 100,000 and trying to get a matching grant for another 100,000 to have a master planner help us come in to figure out what the town should look like in 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And I get a call from a car dealer over in Ankeny. Where do I send my check for $25,000?
Yeah, I heard about that.
And another car dealer down in Des Moines. Where do I send my $10,000 check?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Exciting news that came out of all of this, out of disaster. Obviously, the Lennox Corporation. If you drive out there and look at the building, it's amazing nobody was killed, first of all, let me say that. If you drive behind the Lennox building, you think it looks bad in the front, drive around to the back. It is unbelievable. And obviously that started the rumor mill. Nobody wants to deal in rumors. There was a lot of speculation that, boy, they're just going to pull up stakes. A business that's been here for over 100 years, started here, obviously has offices in other places, around the country and Mexico and such. But the rumor mill started. I know the Des Moines Register jumped on the story as well, some of the other news agencies. Major concern, but good news came out of that.
Yeah, the COO was kind enough to invite the governor and lieutenant governor up to meet at 3:30 on Monday after the storm, and invited me to be there at 4:30, specifically knowing that at 5:30 we would start a city council meeting. And he let us be the ones. The governor's office was writing their press release as their Suburban was going back down to Des Moines. I didn't really have time to write much of one, but I had time to call the newspaper, the new editor of the newspaper, to let her kind of look inside the peek under the curtain about what was going to happen at the city council meeting.
Right.
And it was fun to be able to announce that they are here to stay. They're going to rebuild.
Yeah.
And they're going to give a lot of money for the relief too.
Yeah, I know. I got a text message from Ken Hughey, our news director, was at the meeting, and whoa! I mean, there was just general excitement, and then of course social media exploded with the story, and we live in a world now where news gets out and it spreads pretty gosh darn fast.
Right. It wasn't the only rumor either. Supposedly our water supply was contaminated.
I saw that. I don't know if I saw it in the TR. Where did I see that story creep up?
I don't know, but it was absolutely false. We still have the best water in the state, and our envelopes prove it. About every 3 years we win the contest, and so we didn't miss a beat there. There were rumors that Raycom went down, and they didn't miss a second of transmission, which is just really phenomenal.
That is a story in and of itself. If you have seen the Raycom building, absolutely devastated. You could look right through the building itself and see the girders and, you know, damage that was done. Absolutely, tons and tons of damage to it. And it, like you said, it never lost communication.
Greg Miller told Tom Wurzberger, his architect, to build it so it would withstand an EF5.
Really?
And
so
he did.
That was it.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. We're visiting with Marshalltown Mayor Joel Greer, and there are still going to be people on the ground, Joel, for a long, long time. And housing has been fantastic. Let's just be honest. It's been fantastic. The hotels, motels have opened up. The college opened up its dormitories. In fact, I'm visiting with Dr. Chris Duree tomorrow, and he wants to talk all about that. People have opened up their homes, you know, places where you wouldn't normally see people. Folks are there. That is absolutely a wonderful story as well.
The Willows had enough rooms ready so they could accommodate people too.
Yeah, they were moving folks over.
And the Y, you can't forget what a big player the Y has been in all of this with Carol Hibbs.
Yeah.
And opening the gym there.
Absolutely, yeah. Because I mean, we've had some hot days, and you know, I think of the House of Compassion that barely missed a beat. It was absolutely, you know, it took off part of that structure as well. The House of Compassion, it did not miss a beat, helping out with some meals and helping out some housing. It's just unbelievable, the volunteer spirit and the caring spirit of our community. It really shows what the people are here. It does not matter if you are Hispanic, if you are white, if you are Burmese. We're all kind of in this together.
Exactly. Now, one thing I would like to share.
Please.
It's very important. We have people right now, volunteers that are going literally house to house to take an inventory, find out who the owner is, find out if there's sufficient insurance, find out what they can about the structural damage and that sort of thing. And we need the people to answer the door and answer those questions, because otherwise we have no chance of getting FEMA money.
Right.
So, so far the reaction has been pretty good from the people that have been surveyed. But I would like publicly to tell people, if they see this, that they should be quick to open the door, because the volunteers will identify themselves and they're out there for a good reason.
All right. Joel, thank you for being on our television show, Discover Marshalltown.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. That's going to wrap up this edition. Thank you for watching.